Hello there. Can I make some soup for you today? We have left soup and we have right soup. My God can go right back here as I'm serving soup to the customers on this really busy corner street. It was an ordinary Tuesday when the world ended. Dark clouds rolled in, while some thought it was an early autumn storm. Something more ominous was at hand. Within hours, ash rained down on the town, and this entire place was covered in lava. Today I'm chasing the stories of what life was like when life just suddenly doesn't have a tomorrow.
250 kilometers south of Rome sits the world's most dangerous volcano. In 79 AD, around noon on a Tuesday, Vesuvius exploded. While many towns were buried in ash, the one we know most about is Pompeii, a typical middle-class town where about 10,000 people lived. Today, the people are gone, the town is destroyed, but the stories are not.
Let's explore Pompeii.
Today, we're unlocking the entire Pompeii map. First, a room tour from one of Pompeii's local socialites, then a detour through the red light district. We'll catch up with the lads on an ancient Roman pub crawl, hit up the bathhouse, unlock some streets that genuinely feel like an open-world RPG that's been untouched for 2,000 years. But near the end, I found something hidden in Pompeii I've never seen anyone talk about before. But that's getting ahead of ourselves. Let's get to that room tour.
Welcome to my villa. Let me take you for a room tour. Point. These are my stairs. But apparently, the roof of my villa has been blown off by a volcano. Don't mind that, I'll get to it later. And here is where I keep all of my altars for my gods. If I find a new god, I stick it in the altar room. And you can see how beautiful I've painted it. I hired a person to paint it for me, actually. I can't be bothered with that. But I painted the bird and the flower. That's what I can't be bothered to paint with. I've even written on some of my old columns, just so I don't forget how to write. My most favorite room of the house is the room with the sparkles. Now this one, the volcano has preserved the best. Welcome to my dining room. You can see how I've decorated the floor with special mosaics. Check out my original paintings. I put little flowers on the wall. I've got a pretty great house. Volcano aside, and 2,000 years later, high five. And now, I've got to get back to my idol worshiping and prayers in this very dark room. Thanks for coming along my blown off house from a volcano tour. See you down the street where I show you my favorite cheeky place to visit. Woo!
Like all good Roman cities, Pompeii is purpose-built and on a grid. The more wealthy you were, the closer to city center you were. And the poors, well, in Pompeii's case, worked in the nightclub, which is exactly where we've arrived.
Can you imagine having fun time on a stone bed? That'd be hard.
This brothel is literally Choose Your Own Adventure Roman Empire edition. It turns out not much has changed in the adult entertainment world in the last 2,000 years.
This whole area was where a lot of the slaves worked. So usually it was staffed by Greeks, and 24 hours a day it was open. You could go in there and just pick any position that you wanted to pick as long as it was on the walls. I was just thinking though, imagine you're in there, you paid for a service, and then all of a sudden you're covered with hot lava. It's like a bonus feature you didn't even ask for.
We're on our way to High Street to join the lads on a pub crawl, but quick stop in another massive villa first. Mosaics, statues, indoor courtyards, private shrines. I have 3 hours of footage I had to cut from the edit. It's like the city is still alive and has just been on pause. Pompeii quickly stops feeling like ruins and starts feeling alive.
A person in a window. We have 2 lovers over here in the corner with a voyeur watching them. I mean, can you imagine that? You're just like some rich person doing stuff to the gods. And then all of a sudden the world ends. That suck.
Anyway, let's find High Street. To get anywhere in Pompeii, you have to cross the road, and the Romans had a very specific opinion on how you should do that.
Zebra crossing. Boo, 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 boo. Boo, boo, boo.
Roman zebra crossings are raised about 40 centimeters to keep your sandals out of the street sludge, which also happened to be the city's drainage system. Delightful.
Guys, look, we have a shop. Soup for sale, soup for sale. Come get your soup. It looks like we have 3 flavors of soup today. We have flavor 1, flavor 2, shadow flavor. Wow, this would have been fancy. Like, you can see where the door would have slid here, opening up to this beautiful marble countertop with soups. 1, 2, 3, 4 soups on this one. Yeah, we got fancy food.
Soup and wine shops line every corner of High Street in Pompeii.
Come into my bar. Come in. Maybe wine back there. Maybe some pretty lady up here. And then we can tell it was 2 levels. They've redone the ceiling up there. There would have been some stairs back there. This would have been a thriving place full of drunk Romans. This was what the shop was called. Drunk Roman hooligans. Over here, we see a bread shop right next door. They got drunk, and then they went over here and got a pizza. Check it out. This one even has the crushing stones on top of the crushing stones. And another pizza oven. Pizza for sale. Ooh, right next to the soup. Maybe it's like olive oil container holder bucket. That is so cool. Can you imagine being the archaeologist who had to excavate the pizza oven? PompeiiPizza.com. What kind of pizza would you like, sir? Quattro formaggi, please. What a cool job. People literally haven't changed in thousands of years. Everyone likes wine and pizza.
Okay, so the bakery exited into this tiny little alley, which definitely feels like we've wandered off the main storyline and accidentally triggered a side quest that we're not taking. But the alley was really cool, so I kept it in the edit anyway.
They were so good at making things. I would love a countertop like that. Look how pretty that is. Just like beautiful. I want to touch it so bad, but no, bad. Beautiful green, red, and blue tiles. Whatever they're selling, I'm buying. Back in the corner, maybe there would have been some chairs over there, or that's where like the owner would have sat. And then you can see in the very back, that's probably where the owner would have lived. But we're just on the corner of the street. You can buy your soup. This is great. I don't know how this would have worked with a cart, but I quite like it. Roman Empire street crossing, zebra crossing there. Where did I come from? I don't know, but I see tourists here, so we're going this way.
Nearly 17,000 people were exploring Pompeii the day I visited, all packed on the main roads following the exact same tour route. But somehow I kept drifting off of this into abandoned side streets that felt completely untouched, like the game developers forgot to populate this part of the map. And honestly, that's where I found some of the coolest stuff in the entire city.
Now this is some of the coolest stuff I think we have here in Pompeii. Old writing on the walls. Some of the way we know how to talk, how they talked is by what they wrote on the walls, which is just next door to beautiful words on the wall.
Most of Pompeii's graffiti was destroyed by Vesuvius or accidentally scrubbed away during early excavations, so the bits we have are basically 2,000-year-old street art. In Pompeii, the scenery shifts fast. One minute you're decoding first-century graffiti, and the next you're staring at what people left behind when the world ended.
So this is a shop owner trapped in the shop when the world ended. It's plastered. So when the volcano and all of that sort of stuff covered the town, it just stopped people in their place. One very smart scientist just poured plaster into the crevice that the decaying body made to find the positions that the people were trapped in. A cart across the rock will make an indention like that. This is so cool. Okay, we're at the fork in a road, literally. And then there's another shop at the fork in the road. So you can come here, buy whatever you need it. Maybe forks. Fork shop. Where are you located? At the fork. Okay, I'm tired. But my goal today was to walk down every street of Pompeii. And you're seeing this video in about 10 minutes. And I've been here 4 hours. Almost 5. Woohoo! Okay, I was just sitting here having a snack. Do you see what I see? This water hole has a little animal on it. That's so cool. That's why we just have to sit and have a snack sometime. So we can find cool things right next to this graffiti that we can't see. But it's very important because it's covered by plastic.
Good story. I think it's time to head down the street and recover in the spa for a bit. Ancient Rome was obsessed with spa culture. In Pompeii, this wasn't luxury. It was basically part of the daily routine.
So one side would have had chicks, one side would have had dudes.
Inside, you'd bathe, sweat, relax, and catch up on all of the local gossip before wandering back out into the streets into the chaos of the city.
Look, we can get water. Roman Empire water. Out of this beautiful fountain. Hydrate, friends, hydrate. Okay, these little zebra crossings are so cool. It makes crossing this really deep street so much easier. Like, you can still see where the wagons would have walked across it, and the wagon would have been exactly this wide.
Not everyone dances on a zebra crossing, but that got me thinking, did anyone actually escape Vesuvius?
Pliny the Younger records that some people ran away, but most people were covered in ash and lava within hours of Vesuvius exploding. Did Rome care? Not really. There was so much other stuff going on in the Roman Empire at the time.
79 AD was not Rome's best year. The emperor died in June, his son Titus took throne in July, Volcano in August, and Priority 1 was planning a 100-day rave to open the Colosseum the following year. Meanwhile, up north, the Roman Empire was entering a 300 years war with Scotland trying to defeat the indigenous people, the Picts.
For whatever reason, they just couldn't figure out how to defeat the Picts and their thistles. Pew, 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 pew. Now, some of the early people that escaped were provided by the state like food and welfare and housing because they didn't have any next of kin to go live with. Everyone died here. Rome took care of the people that survived, but we don't know a lot if they cared. Like, there was no National Pompeii Disappearing Day.
Vesuvius had been warning it was going to explode for 10 years.
See, in 69 AD, there was a huge earthquake that damaged a bunch of the town. A couple years later, the volcano shot off. But we can still see remnants of construction being done on this town.
While Pompeii was busy patching earthquake damage, the locals were still grinding their wine-making side quest.
That looks like a vineyard. Guys, we're in the old wine factory. Check this out. So here, you would have people squishing grapes that you would bring in from the vineyard over there. And how do we know this is the old vineyard? Well, because of carbon dating and that sort of stuff. That is so cool. You would have had workers and slaves doing a lot of this work for me to enjoy at the wine factory. But these are the little vessels that the wine would have had to sit in. Well, they're not little. They're really big. And there would have been way more of them. Like, these rooms would have been chilled. Whoa. We just found a red wall. They're out of the sun. Like, right now it's about 10 degrees cooler in here. So they would have just kept this cool for the wine to do its thing.
In Pompeii, the locals had fully maxed out their winemaking skills, which may explain why they got themselves banned from their own arena. This Colosseum is 140 years older than the giant Colosseum in Rome, and with that age comes city pride. See, after one gladiator match turned into a full-all football hooligan riot, ending up killing local residents, this area lay silent under a 10-year ban. So, the fight stopped. But the wine absolutely did not, and neither did bougie travelers to the city, of course, who needed a hotel to sleep in.
Welcome to the Hotel California. It's a lovely place.
This boutique hotel was run by a woman. Private spas, marble courtyards, and an ensuite bathhouse for wealthy Roman guests.
Down here, you could go to the different rooms. You have fresh water in the middle of each, of the different rooms and courtyards. She painted the walls beautifully. So I wonder what kind of people would visit here. People that like marble steps leading to mosaic tiles on the floor. Businessmen, maybe people who just wanted a vacation on the Amalfi Coast. Of course, we have an idol holder for whatever idols that she would want to have. You can just have a bath, have a good sleep, and do your God stuff all in once. Way to go. Can you imagine staying in a room like this, though? There's always room at the Hotel California, every time of day, in Vesuvius's way. You know, it's kind of eerie walking on these streets. Yes, it gets loud and annoying when the tour guides come by, but it's just like life stopped here on an ordinary Tuesday in the middle of the day, and everything is frozen in time. I have to show you guys this. Check this out. Here is how they knew what street you were on. This is Bird Sun, or Penis with Legs Sun Street. I don't know which one.
Not quite. Romans just thought giant phalluses brought good luck. But symbols like this one worked as ancient wayfinding. Most working class Romans couldn't read, but everyone understands an emoji carved in the walls. And speaking of things carved in the wall,
we got a dude in the wall. I've got to show you it. Have you subscribed?
It appears he's guarding something.
And then back here is just a mystery. Mystery waiting to be uncovered. I need a zebra crossing.
Most of Pompeii is still buried beneath volcanic rock, intentionally left untouched, waiting for future archaeologists with better technology to uncover whatever's hiding down there.
Guys, look at this. This is incredible. Beautiful little mosaics.
Today we have guard dogs. Back then, they had guard dog mosaics.
Which the spirit of the dog would guard the place, and I feel like that's a little bit less ferocious than running into an Italian dog. Oh, God! A god talking from dog to God. Guys, look at this. A massive statue. Maybe the dog of the god, or the god of the dog would sit here. Now, some people put guard dogs on their entryway to guard them, and this person just puts a nice little flower. I want to go into that house and not guard dog the main house.
Today we build a house, paint it white, throw on a floor, and call it minimalism. Ancient Rome would have hated that. Every room had a personality. The mosaics told who you were even before you walked in. What the owner read, what they believed, what they desperately wanted the guests to think about them. No blank walls, no boring floors. And honestly, Rome was onto something.
The art here from 2,000 years ago, guys, it's incredible. Look how well these mosaics are preserved. And then we got some dinos, rhinos, elephants. I'm not very good with animals.
Pompeii had been a city for over 700 years before Vesuvius ended the whole thing. And nearly a millennia of history means thousands of weddings, arguments, soup shops, and funerals. Which brings us, inevitably, to the necropolis. The necropolis is located on the outskirts of the town and tells more about the city than we realize.
Look at this one. We can still see the faces of people that were buried in here. Just up here in the rock. All of these were the most wealthy of wealthy would be buried. So if you were super fancy, you would get like a whole house. You can see up here the structures set up for someone. But the thing that's most incredible is that we can still see the inscription from over 2,000 years ago. And some of the cool stuff about this is that we understand how people talked back then. So this is really key for linguistics.
Centuries of graves line the roads leading out of town, all of them facing the same mountain. And none of them saw it coming.
Now imagine that, like say you're a priest or something, and you're doing a sacrifice on this altar with Vesuvius in the background, and then you start to see lava coming out of there. I would be scared I did the sacrifice wrong. What is the God telling me? Ah. And that's how the world ends, on an ordinary Tuesday in an ordinary town.